Good morning, everybody. We're super excited. We have Debbie Losser from Veteran First Mortgage on our show this morning, and she's coming to us from all the way from beautiful San Diego, California. So we appreciate you being on the call and spending some time and kind of talking to us about mortgages and everything that's going on out there on the West Coast.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. Excited to have you. And Debbie has been a big supporter of the Veterans Veterans Real Estate Benefits Network, and we've worked together on some loans and stuff like that. This is kind of the first time that we've met virtually, so that's always good. So I appreciate that. But if you can kind of warm us up a little bit, tell us a little bit about what got you in the mortgage business. I mean, what excited you into that world?
I started off just, kind of dabbling on the side back in 2001. The big refi boom happened, and I was working at another job, and I got introduced to just kind of doing it on the side and making some quick money. And then after purchasing a home myself, and the whole crash in 2008, I decided that something I wanted to do full time and explore. So in 2010, I was introduced to Veterans First Mortgage, Kevin Gates, owner at the time, and started working there full time. And 13 years later, I'm here.
Nice. Well, that's pretty brave, because 2010 was a kind of a time when a lot of people weren't getting into the mortgage business, which is probably good timing for you. And Kevin, I've met a few times. We've worked together. He's a great guy, and I'm sure he's a good mentor to all that as well. So. Veterans First Mortgage, for those of you that are listening, they really are an internet-based company that does a lot of work in the VA space. They take very good care of veterans. We do a lot of work with them. But Debbie was selected to run one of their kind of new brick and mortar branches out in San Diego. That's pretty cool. So they're kind of getting into the face-to-face consumer world versus the internet world.
Yeah, so being a consumer direct and working kind of in that sector, we realized too, just being brick and mortar here in San Diego, that we weren't really capturing. There's over 200,000 veterans in San Diego County, and we weren't really capturing that local business. The one-on-one, face-to-face type of connection we can make here. So I was given that duty and that task to be able to about a year ago to grow the San Diego market for us here, and it's been wonderful. Making a lot of great connections and really kind of getting a better insight of what it's like to work in that area versus a consumer direct.
That's cool. Well, I think that's great. And how would somebody get in touch with Debbie? What's the best way someone to reach out and get in touch with you if they're in San Diego or if they're looking for a loan?
If the easiest way, and one thing that I always direct people to go to is Google Veterans First Debbie Losser. That'll take you to my profile. You can read a little bit about me and a little more detail of the background of my story, and it has all my contact information there. So that way, I always tell people, if you can feel comfortable working with me, you can see my story and my background. All my contact information's there. Of course, reach out to me directly. But the website will have all the information. Debbie Losser with Veterans First Mortgage.
Okay, perfect. And then, of course, you can always reach out to Veterans Real Estate Benefits Network on vrevnetwork.com. And if you fill out a couple quick links and tell us if you're looking for a home in San Diego, then the loan's going to eventually make its way over to Debbie. She's going to contact you. So that's kind of the second way. But we do kind of want to jump in. A lot of our listeners are first-time buyers. A lot of them are veterans. They're using their VA loan for the first time, and so we always hit on a couple things. One of which is that no money down is what one of your benefits of using a loan. Doesn't necessarily mean, or doesn't mean no money to the table. That doesn't mean you're going to get into a house for $0 out of your pocket. It just means your down payment is not required.
Correct. So that's a common misconception is a lot of veterans, first time home buyers think with the 100% financing, there is no closing costs. And the items to be aware of is, there are closing costs. And the biggest thing is your earnest money. That's something between, you and your agent to negotiate how much you want to offer, and your agent will guide you on the earnest money, but you're going to have your appraisal fee. We do collect for that one item up front because, anything happens and the appraiser is going to go out and he's going to do his job. So we got to get him paid. And then the party fees, your title fees, and your impound account taxes, insurance. Those are all fees that are collected at closing. And of course, it's always recommended you get a home inspection, not be required by the lender, but highly recommended. So another side fee to be aware of at the beginning, to make sure that you have in reserves and aware of to be able to afford and get into a home, and there's no surprises getting contract.
Yeah, those are all good points. It's not well understood, but there's really three parts, to the money when you're buying a house. There's the down payment, which we talked about. There is, lender title fees and your standard fees. And then there can be some state fees as well, county fees. And then as you mentioned, they're setting up your escrow. Some places they call that impound. But setting up your escrow, you got to get that homeowner's insurance. You've got to get your taxes primed up. In some cases, flood. Some cases HOA. But all of that takes some money to get that set up. And so those are the real three components of bringing money to the table. So I think those are all important points. One thing I would like to bring out is that in the market we're in today, it hasn't got to the point yet where it was, a year and a half ago. The market's slower. I'm going to ask Debbie in a few minutes about her market, but across the country, in most of the markets, it's not on fire as it was, a year and a half ago. So we're able to get seller concessions. Seller concessions, for those listening, is just money that we ask the seller that contribute to the buyer's closing costs and prepay. And so that really helps offset, what a buyer has to bring to closing. So how's life look out in San Diego? I mean, I think it's still a pretty good market out there, right?
Yeah, the market's strong here. You still have multiple offers, bidding wars, getting offers above asking price. And yeah, in this market, asking for seller concessions is going to hurt your chances of getting your offer accepted, because you're most likely going to come up against somebody else conventional that's not asking for seller concessions.
Right. It's a good point. Like Debbie just said, it really is market dependent, and to some degree, it's property dependent too. If it's a very motivated seller and you're not competing, then you might be able to get some concessions even in a hot market. About 80% of our transactions right now have a seller concession. So, but you're absolutely right. It depends on the market. So San Diego's a great market for veterans. I mean, like you mentioned, 200,000 veterans in that area. I mean, that's just amazing. That's a lot of veterans. And so what we want to reinforce is that when you work with a team like Debbie is your lender, Veterans First Mortgage, and you work with Veterans Real Estate Benefits Network, you can earn nice rewards check after closing. The San Diego market is going to be more than our average. Our average is about $1,600, but in San Diego it's probably closer to $3,000 or $4,000 after closing, because there's nothing cheap in San Diego anymore.
Correct. It's a high cost market. So
yeah, it's a gorgeous place to live. I've been out there a few times. Love all the restaurants, and it's a beautiful location. It's really that southern tip of California. You're still getting a little bit of cool air, but find it perfect there.
yeah, no, it's beautiful. You pay for the weather out here.
Exactly. There's no free lunch. No, one thing I would like to ask you advice on. It seems like, we work together. We work a lot with Veterans First Mortgage. We work with some other lenders, and it occasionally buyers stumble right before closing, and they do things that we consider, very odd things to do, but they don't do it out of malice. They don't do it to lose their loan, but they might wind up losing their loan. So any kind of advice on things not to do, a couple weeks before closing.
Yeah, there's, I mean, even not only a couple weeks before closing, but during the whole loan process, from the minute you let your lender do that hard pull on credit, it's important not to establish any additional debt. And especially right before closing, maybe, don't go buy a new car. If you're looking to get new furniture, don't go open up a credit card. And any new trade lines are gonna, we've got to include that in your debt to income ratio. So if you are high already and you go add another $400 payment onto that, that could, really either lessen your chances or, hurt the deal from moving forward.
Right. That's all good points. We've had people actually quit their job, a week or two before closing, and now they're unemployed and they get upset because they can't close on their house. But from a lender risk standpoint, you don't have a job. We can't necessarily close on a loan when you don't have a job, and that doesn't help on the repayment. So I guess the best advice Debbie's giving you, and we'd like to give you, is from when you meet with that lender, don't change stuff in your life. Don't add new debt. Don't quit your job. Don't get married. Don't get major changes to your life without first consulting with your lender to say, is now a good time or should I wait till after closing?
Right. And in situations like changing your job, a lot of people will change their job and say, well, I've got a new one, so I didn't think it was a big deal. They right before closing, there's a good thorough check to make sure you're still working at the job that we have you qualified at. If you get a new job, then, we'll need to check that job and obviously make sure that you're making the same amount, and it could delay the process. And a lot of times in this market, the sellers are, they want a quick closing. So we don't want to delay. We want to meet, contingency deadlines.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, in a hot market like San Diego, if you put any type of doubt or fear in the seller, the seller's going to pull the contract. They're going to walk away, especially go past the closing day. And they're just going to put the house right back on the market, grab another buyer. So in a hot market like that, you don't want to transmit fear to the seller, because it's going to translate into you probably not getting the house. So, I think that's an important aspect. But, we're definitely excited to work with you out there in San Diego. We've got a lot of great agents. I mean, that's a market where we have some very solid veteran certified agents. There's clearly a lot of veterans out there, and there's a lot of veterans that need a VA loan. So reach out to Debbie Losser, reach out to Veteran First Mortgage. We've worked with them for a long time. I mean, their fees are very, very fair. Their rates are super competitive, and you get somebody with experience like Debbie in your corner makes a huge difference when you process a loan, because everybody will tell you they do VA loans, but I will tell you there's lenders that do it very well, and then there's people who do it 2-3 times a year. So that's a big difference. And if you run into any snags, you need the brain surgeon in your corner, not the one that's reading the manual on the left side of the phone. So think about all that. We would love to help you out if you're listening, or you're just thinking about getting into the home buying process. Reach out and kind of get started with the lender and kind of see where you're at on the numbers. Make sure you're comfortable with all that. Again, it's Debbie Losser, Veterans First Mortgage. You can Google her. You can reach out to her. You can reach us at VREBnetwork.com, and the long name of that is Veterans Real Estate Benefits Network. You can certainly find us as well. Fill out a couple questions, and we'll connect the two of you. And then you're off and running, and we'll get you a good solid agent that participates in that rewards program after closing. So you have to work with one of our agents, earn a rewards check after closing. You can't call us the day before closing and say, hey, I'm interested in that rewards check. Well, it's not how it works. So you got to contact us early. Let us get you connected with the agent, and then the San Diego market, Debbie's standing by to help you as well. So reach out to us again. It's brevnetwork.com, and Debbie Losser, Veteran First Mortgage. So Debbie, we appreciate your time. We've enjoyed talking. It's pretty cool. We got the planes taking off in the background behind you. Kind of a nice addition. So it adds that extra little touch to it. Pretty cool.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate, all your agents. They're wonderful to work with, so knowledgeable on VA, and it helps us work together as a team, to get our veterans into a home.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And we look forward to working with you in the future. And if you're listening, the only other thing I'd add is that if you're moving from San Diego, we've got agents in every city in the country. So we can help you in any city that you're moving to. Just let us know. So we've got you covered from Alaska to Hawaii, all the way up to Mexico. So if you need that agent, we've got them for you. We got over 100,000, so we can reach out and cut. So that's a lot of coverage. So Debbie, again, thanks a lot. And I'm sure we'll be talking soon on some veterans, some transactions someplace.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, have a great week.
You too. Thank you.